as we moved on in marriage, my wife and I, you know, probably like a lot of people struggled to start a family. We started trying to start a family about 8 years in. Went about every process for 3 years down to finally went to the University of Utah here, the specialist in the IV, I guess can't even say it right now, but the IVF
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
and and that's a big investment, and
Yeah.
so um, trying to take that mortal man of my money, and but I wanted a family,
Yeah.
and kind of say, okay, forget about it. We want this family, and so we invested some money. The first attempt failed, but we were able to capture a lot of embryos, and
Mhm.
um, on the second one, we placed two in this time because my wife's a twin, my mom's a twin, so they're like,
Mm.
you got high risk of twin. The first
Mm.
time we'll put one.
Wow.
So the second one, they said, all right, we'll put two. Well, they took, and
Wow.
we were blown away. We were just over the moon. We were ready for it. We um, got 15 weeks in. It was a boy and a girl. We named him Scout and Striker, and we were starting to plan. My wife's a planner and just
Mhm.
does tons of stuff, but for some reason she kind of put off the nursery. And finally, we got 21, 22 weeks in, and we started shopping for baby, cribs, and kind of started a little bit with the room, but not much, and um, come 24 weeks, one late night, she comes to me and says, Dave, I'm in a lot of pain. Like I don't know what's going on. Like I want to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, you're fine. Like men are just, you're
Mhm.
okay. Let's go in the morning, just get some sleep. I think it was like midnight, and she's like, no, I gotta go. I gotta go. And so I said, okay, let's go. And jumped into the car, and we ran up to the hospital, and um, started checking her out, putting her in there. And sure enough, she was in early labor. She
Mm.
was in, going into labor. So they were doing everything they can to postpone the labor. And, um, within a day and a half, the, just with, the nurses, everybody checking, she ended up getting a fever. And so there was some type of infection that
Mm.
had got into her. And at that point I don't want to lose my wife,
Yeah.
and so we um, finally just had to decide to deliver the babies. They were, and they came fully alive, beautiful babies, boy and a girl, and we did have that time to be able to hold them in our arms while they were alive for the small time, and embrace them. And after I think they were born alive after 21 weeks, they're considered a live birth.
Yeah.
So, you know, we gave him a baby blessing and a name, and it was one of the most beautiful, I think, for my whole family that was there. We just have a massive family that embraced us, um, and I remember just maybe a few hours before they decided we were going to do delivery, I found myself out in the back waiting room, and hit my knees and just prayed, saying, God, please comfort me through this, because I know this is going to happen. We're not going to have them. But why would you send us these, get us to this point, and then take them away? Like, I don't get it. Like,
Mm.
why? You know? And, a peace came over me for a while, and it went back into the room, and, we were preparing for the delivery, and it happened. And it was very spiritual, very great time, and the, the connection that my wife and I went through for that was such a bonding experience,
Mm.
even with my family and so many people that kind of was able to experience that with us. This was in 2009. Um, and then, you know, and it's still kind of a mysterious because nobody will admit, but, at the time we lived in East Layton, and we were up there probably 10, 12 years, and not real active in our church. We're still members of the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints, and um, had a great couple neighbors that constantly, hey, I'm going to save you a seat on the pew. I'm going to
Mm.
save you a seat on the pew, and someone after that left the hospital had just drove through our neighborhood, and happened to find a counselor of the bishopric, and kind of told them what was going on. And later that night, our bishopric showed up at the hospital, and was just comforting, and got to know them. I didn't really even know who they were. And Bishop Larkin, we're still just he's amazing because he's the one that changed my spiritual rebirth.
Mm.
Like, as they came up and we were actually ready to go home that night, and they said, well, let us help you with some flowers and we'll take some stuff home. And
This was the night that the
it
twins
was a couple days
passed, or a few
after.
days after.
Yeah, a few days after that it passed. Um and a lot of flowers, and I couldn't do it. And they were like, let us help, and they put them in all their cars and carried them out and took us home, and brought in a lot of flowers and left, and then um family was there, and by 8 o'clock that night, we were tired, and everybody left, and it was just me and my wife home. And we at that time we knelt down and we prayed. It was about 10:30 at night, and I said, Lord, why take this from us? Why? We've worked so hard. I don't see why this had to happen. And in the middle of my and I said, I need help. Like, I need help. In the middle of my prayer, before I finished, my door knocked. And I stopped, and I kind of was like, man, who's there? It's like 10:45 now. And I go and open the door, and it's my bishop and his wife. He had no idea what was going on, but he drove by and he said, hey, Dave, I missed a card. It was in my back seat, fell out, and I seen your lights on. I thought, I'm just going to bring this card by. And I said, Bishop, come in. And him and his wife came in and spent about 2 hours with us, really connecting us back to
Mm.
the stuff that I knew, but needed to be woken back up, right? And rejuvenated in me. And I look back at that turning point and I thought, man, if I would have had some buddies show up with some beer or whatever, who knows what would have happened
Mm.
in my life,
Mm.